episode 32, a solo episode with me, Tiffany Hinton, and we're going to be talking about when I went into the mountains and came down with a new idea and our retreat that I just got back from in Colorado today on Cultivating Guts. Hello, it's Tiffany, and welcome back to Cultivating Guts, a podcast where we discuss gardening, homesteading, gut health, and following our intuition. I'm so excited to be back with you guys. I've had so many insightful moments, like for reals, since our last recording. And that's what we're talking about today on the podcast. Ideas that are super important to me and the action that I've already put in place to get these to fruition and to get some new stuff for the community and just so many changes, so much fun stuff. And I want to dive into it today on the podcast. I am simultaneously video recording and audio recording, so you can catch us live on YouTube at Tiffany Hinton, or it's actually youtube.com/Tiffany Hinton, or you can catch the video over on Spotify because they now have video podcast as well, and that's at Cultivating Guts. So once again, we are on multiple channels, so I would really, really love if you could do us a favor and like the podcast, leave us a review, and subscribe. So every time a new podcast comes out, you get notified. It's one of the favorite things I love about the podcast and notifications is there's a couple of podcasts I follow. One being the Highest Self podcast by Sahar Rose. And because I've subscribed, every time she drops a new episode, I get an alert on my phone. Love it. And then I know that it's out there and I can go listen when I'm walking or working in the garden or have some other me time, which sometimes is few and far between with the kids at home and the chickens and the rabbits and, just life in general. But really would love that favor if you could like, subscribe, and rate our podcast and leave us a review. If you leave us a review and send it to me at tiffany@gfmomcertified.com, I will send you our free 4-day Hacking Your Health Gut Detox plan that you can follow easily at home and begin to get your gut and your intestinal tract back on target. Also, if you're listening and you find a favorite part of this podcast, give it a screenshot, load it up on Instagram, and tag me at I am Tiffany Hinton. That is our new Instagram handle. I am Tiffany Hinton. I love reposting stuff, and I'm excited to hear what you thought of today's episode. If there's any huge successful like blinkers that go off for you in your head or things that you're like, oh my gosh, right? Is there anything that you learn? Is there anything else? I am grateful for you and all of our amazing listeners for helping us grow the podcast and sharing it with more people. And before we head into the show, here's a quick word from our sponsor. Today's podcast is sponsored by NonDisclosure Apparel. And it is my go-to everyday bra, like we've been talking about on the podcast. Super excited when I met Becky a little over a year ago and found their brand new Ellie bralettes. Actually, I'm wearing one today. Not only because it has nipple coverage, but also because it has no wiring. It is super, super comfortable. It's not compressing like a sports bra would be. And I can wear it under t-shirts. No issues, no nipples. And people that are listening to the podcast are probably like, what, Tiffany? Honestly, yeah, my girls wear them. Our photographer now has one, and it is becoming this thing. And so if you do not yet have yourself an Ellie bralette, not only is it a female-owned company, designed and made in the USA, right here in the US, it is a company that, and if you go back to one of our earlier podcasts, you're going to hear Becky, but Becky designed this company for her own need and to benefit other women and other little girls who were having embarrassing moments because their nipples were showing through their t-shirts or showing through their dresses. So definitely, I am super excited to have NonDisclosure Apparel as a podcast sponsor for my own reasons, but also so we can help more young girls and women and just people that are, maybe you're doing yoga, you're doing farm chores, you're doing whatever, you're working from home. It's your everyday go-to bra. And we have a very special discount for our community only. And that code is GFMOM15. That saves you 15% off your total purchase. And then if you order 2 Ellie bralettes, you will also receive free shipping. So we'll put all those details in the show notes, but definitely check out the Ellie bralette by NonDisclosure Apparel. So I guess I'm like, where do I start? Where does the story begin? I think the story begins when KLZ, who is Kathleen Ziegler, launched KLZ in the Mastermind that we were both part of, Elevating the Globe, the mastermind that goes along with that if you upgrade. And she launched KLZ, and I joined as a brand new member when she launched the membership. She had this like great deal, and it was like, awesome. I'll join. I'll support her. I need some more physical exercise. And in my mind, I thought about KLZ like I thought about Beachbody. I was like, it's a way to work out at home. It's there if I want it. It's there if I don't want it. And it's easy access from my computer or my phone, and I'm good to go. What I didn't realize, and what I'm going to dive into today on the podcast, is that KLZ is expanded and expanded and expanded to where she just hosts a whole mastermind retreat within her container. And it was life-changing, super life-changing. So I knew she was hosting it. I knew that it was happening. And she kept saying, we're going to go to Colorado. We're going to do this retreat. We're going to hike a 14-footer. That's what she called it, like a 14,000 foot summit. And I was like, oh, I can't do that. In my mind, I was already saying, I can't do that. I can't hike that far. I had asthma as a kid. I had all these excuses. I'm not in shape. And all of those excuses, I will tell you, just went out the window. In June, we got back from Florida. I called her. I said, I'm in for the retreat. I don't know why, but I did. And I said, I'm going to pay you cash. I'm going to tell me where to send you the cash. And I'm going to pay you today. And I'm going to pay you in 2 weeks. And I'm not charging it. I'm paying cash, and I'm going, and I'm committing. And I'm so excited I did. So excited I did. And so what's cool is we're going to have KLZ, Catherine, on the podcast here next week. But before we get there, let me tell you my story, right? So I had been working with Catherine on the side most of the summer, creating this idea where I was thinking about intuitive eating, and I talked a little bit about it on different podcast episodes as well, right? Like how to pair feminine and masculine structures, unstructures, intuition, emotional components, and balance into meal planning and gardening, and thinking about this from how do I help other women? And I will tell you, in Gluten-Free Mom Certified, I started out not helping other women. I started out helping kids and families with food allergies, and the business blossomed and it grew, and I loved it. And then I went to functional medicine school and got certified as a functional medicine coach, and started focusing on women with autoimmune diseases. And I will tell you, I love the stories of the women improving their health and hearing how they've grown and they've changed. I didn't love the work, if I'm being completely honest. It was a lot. It was draining. It was emotionally draining when you get a client to health coach that just wants somebody to complain to. You got to put up boundaries. It's a lot. And it wasn't as fun as when I was working to help kids with allergies, creating fun recipes, showing them fun ways to eat basic foods, all of that stuff, right? But all summer I'd been working on this idea and this concept of intuitive eating, balanced eating for women, using meditation to figure out what the body needed, and then growing it in the garden. And while it was exciting, I left it on the mountain. I left it. And I came home with something totally different that has its own entity, it's just its own like spiritual component, and it's just going. It's going whether I want it to go or not, whether I have time for it. It's just going and going and going. So we go to Colorado, we go to Breckenridge. There's 6 of us women in this collective, this mastermind, and in this container that Catherine held. And we had an Airbnb that they rented. Beautiful Airbnb, I will tell you. Hot tub, sauna on the property, multi-level, in the mountains already, like outside of Breckenridge, up a little mountain area. We could hike. We were within probably less than a quarter mile from a trailhead, actually 2 trailheads we figured out. We had a dance party. We met this fox who just kept coming to the back door and like watching and just visiting, and there's so many magical moments. Met so many magical women when I was out there. We hiked one time up into the mountains by the house where we were staying and did yoga on the mountainside. Cassie was there. She's a travel photographer, and she was taking photos and reels, images the whole weekend. And so we came home with these like 700 photos that I don't know what I'm going to do with all of them, but they're amazing. And we would get up in the morning and we would do sadhana. So if you don't know what sadhana is, it is a Kundalini traditional early morning ritual, prayer, meditation, movement that goes together. And traditionally it's from 4 a.m. to 6:30. It could be up to 2.5 hours of not intense, but ceremonial morning, right? And you get up and it's the Yapti song, and then there's some movement there, and then there's cars and so forth. And then we would do that in the mornings, and then we'd hike, which was fun. So by 6:30 we were out hiking after, and the sun was coming up around 6:20, so it was right after the sunrise. We would hike. Then we'd come back and have breakfast. We had Anna there, who is also regrowing her new business, and she is a medical medium coach. She's actually been trained by medical medium people in that practice. And so she would make us smoothies and celery juice and all this wonderful food all weekend. It was like we had a private chef. And so that very last night before we were there from, I flew to Colorado on a Saturday morning on a super early flight. I got to O'Hare, and there's like, I swear, like it felt like 10 people in all of O'Hare. And if you've ever flown through O'Hare, you're like, Tiffany, you're lying. No, it was like 4:30 in the morning, maybe 4:15 I arrived. And I was through TSA and sitting at my gate in less than 30 minutes because there was nobody at the airport yet. It was kind of fun and cool. And um, there were these two women on, I fly United, so we go in the tunnel underneath in O'Hare, and there's that pedway. And so I have traditionally, in all the years that I've flown in and out of O'Hare for work and for business and just different things, get on the pedway and I walk because I always feel like I'm behind, or I feel like I'm late, or I'm not going to have enough time when I get to the gate, or for whatever reason. And I get on the pedway and I walk and I walk and I walk to make it faster, right? That's kind of why the pedways are. So I get on the pedway that morning to fly to Colorado in O'Hare, and there's these two women in front of me, and they're just standing there kind of blocking the pedway and just relaxing and letting it go. And I'm like, kind of getting like this feeling like frustration or a little bit of anxiety, like, seriously, get to the left, move to the left. I didn't say it out loud. And one of the ladies picked up on that, like, because I was standing kind of like almost like I was tailgating them. I was so close. And she's like, do you want us to move? And I go, actually, no, I am ahead of schedule. I am not in a rush, and I can stand here and be patient. And we started laughing, and she goes, I haven't heard somebody say that forever, especially at the airport. And I was like, I know, things have changed. And it was just like this first little miracle and realization that I had before I was even in Colorado. Flew to Colorado, met Stephanie, who I had only met online through Elevate the Globe and then also through KLZ. And we were like two peas in a pod. It was a blast. We were tooling around Breckenridge. We went up the gondola. We went down the gondola. We had lunch together. We did a little bit of shopping together, and we just had a blast until it was time. Actually, a little bit before it was time to go out to the retreat. And it started raining, and I was like, all right, I'm calling an Uber. I'm not going to walk around in the rain. It's like 40 degrees. And so we arrive, out there, and the sauna was great to just heat up the bones and just like, and it was fun. But that last night before we were to head home, and I had a late flight on Tuesday on purpose because I wanted to spend as much time as possible there at the retreat. Catherine said, we're gonna go Quandary, and we'll get up in the morning, and instead of hiking locally here, we'll just drive over to Quandary. And I was like, okay, cool. Having no idea what Quandary was. Like, being the oblivious person. I was like, great. And I had packed hiking boots. I did not pack any other hiking gear because I'm not an avid hiker. I love to walk in the forest preserve, not hike mountains. We get ready to go to, I'm going to go to bed early if we're leaving at 4:30. And I look up Quandary, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the 14,000 foot peak. Like, I just committed to doing what I said I wasn't going to do. The universe has a sneaky way of getting us to do what it wants us to do. I loved it. Was it hard? Yes. Did I have to stop and have shots of canned air? Yes. Was it worth it? Oh my God, yes. We hiked Quandary in the dark. She had two headlamps with her, so we were like, headlamp, me, headlamp, another person. We got up above the alpine, so that means we were above the tree line. So 1/3 of the way up Quandary, it's about 13,000 feet, and it's 1/3 because time wise, right? Once you get into like the rocky part where you need the sticks and the ropes and stuff, it takes longer to get up to the 14th of the last 1,000 feet. But we watched the sun come up from the top of the mountain. So you've maybe seen some of that on my reels. If you haven't, you can check out Instagram over at the new handle. I am Tiffany Hinton, and go to the reels and you'll see some of the sunrise from Quandary. Will I ever hike a mountain again? I don't know. I'd do it again for sure. But it was life changing. And so if Catherine, if you're listening to this, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It was amazing. It was probably the only place on the whole retreat I started to tear up. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that's the place where my emotions got me. And so I left what I was going to be building on that mountain. And I said, thank you for the idea. And thank you for bringing it to me, but it is not for me. And so what did I come home with from Colorado? Give me 1 second and we will talk about that. Guys, grab a coffee if you haven't. This mug is actually from the ocean. My little sea turtle. So on Friday and Saturday, I feel like. No, not Friday. We flew in on Saturday. Sunday and the morning of Monday, my days all like become kind of this big time lapse. So we did what she called feminine work, and we would do like the dance or the intentional dance or meditation or breath work. And then we went around round robin and we talked about what was in our heart that needed to come out. What did we need to birth? And it was kind of fun because it was right after a new moon when we were doing this. So it like fit perfectly. And today, as I'm recording it, it is the full moon. And like everything I was birthing has already been delivered in less than 2 weeks. It's like, oh my gosh, this was fast. But what did we need to birth? And so when it was my time, I went into this meditative state. And the things that started coming out of my mouth were not what I anticipated. It wasn't about this intuitive eating program for women. It was about building a nature school for kids, about having kids learn to have fun, allowing them to create in messy creativeness with love, allowing them to feel safe walking barefoot, giving kids the ability to learn how to create healthy snacks, helping kids become one with nature, helping them learn how to listen to the spirit of plants and to communicate with Mother Gaia. And I was like, where's all this coming from? Like, oh my God. And so we would do 15 minutes of just like, and we would pause if nothing was coming through, and you just kind of like tuned in, channeled, whatever you want to call it, and you shared from the heart. And we did a lot of heart opening stuff. And that is what started to come out of my mouth. And then in this fashion, the other 5 women there, we would put whatever it was we had, and I was calling it Cultivating Guts because Cultivating Guts to me is this package, this container that has so many facets, and it's all about cultivating intuition, and it's cultivating gardening and cultivating your life, and right. And we would put it in the middle of the circle that we had opened, and everybody would go in and they would talk to it on their own, and then that would be like 5 to 10 minutes. And then they would go around and they would share what the Cultivating Guts had told them or what they had heard or what they had seen, depending on their voyances, right? So you have like clairvoyance, clairaudience, and there's another one. There's 3 clairs. And people started to say, you know, like, you need to talk to the Girl Scouts. I see blue. I see a triangle. I see a medicine woman and a nature healer. I see a community. I see, like, it just kept coming and coming. I see you teaching standing in water. I see, you know, like people like growing to where they know things and they don't need medicine as an adult. And like all these different things came from the women. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I'm seriously like scribing notes. And so then on Monday afternoon, it was masculine day. And so what is masculine? Masculine is the energy of structure, the energy of corporate, the energy of like Action plan, right? And so, apologize, guys. I just keep coughing. At least I'm trying to pause it in between. So we come into, so we go into this masculine mode, and she hands us this calendar for the next 3 months, and it has a date for every Friday. And the question becomes, what are you going to do? Right? And so I start to lay out the Little Witches Moon Gardening Club. The Little Witches Moon Gardening Club. And that's the name that came through. Like, that is the name. We know the name. The name is done. And I started to lay out, like, create a logo for Little Witches Moon Gardening Club, pick a date for the first event in class, create an agenda. And I had ideas of, like, what the entity wanted to teach. Right. So we're going to teach about gardening, biodynamic gardening. We're going to teach about moon cycles. We're going to teach about herbal identification and planting gardens, and then we're actually going to teach how to start seeds. And so we've got 4 months laid out as this trial. What do we need to improve upon? What do we need to do after the 4 months? How do we make it better? And then we're going to launch a full year for 2023, and I'm excited about this. And it's not like I got to find a venue. Like in the past when I was doing events, you had to find a venue and you had to organize, catering, and you had to do all this. It's all been delivered to me. So the venue is my backyard, my homestead, my greenhouse, our chicken coops. Like, it's all here. I'm going to probably get a outdoor rug that I can lay out and roll up and put away. In between, we're doing once a month nature school. It'll be 2.5 hours. It's all just like dropped in. The logo came, my VA assistant created that. It was perfect. There was like one tweak when I saw it. I was like, this one thing, and then everything's good. We're launching it out online this week, so you're going to be able to sign up if you're local to Chicago. It is an in-person thing. There is some stuff in the background that's wanting to come through as well for people that are remote, but right now it's in person. I just had an idea drop in yesterday to create a reference book for the club members, and it's just like dunk, 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 everything's coming together. I had a PR call at the airport on my way home from Colorado with one of the local magazines that I write recipes for. And she's like, oh my God, I love it. Let me connect you to so-and-so. And I talked to that person yesterday. And then we had Lily's birthday party. And at her birthday party, one of my neighbors who I asked about helping with the snacks and catering is so excited about the Little Witches Moon Gardening Club nature school that she started telling other people. And she's like, have you told Maggie? And excuse me. And Maggie's like, oh my gosh, the Girl Scouts will love this. And I was like, I didn't even say anything about Girl Scouts. But one of the women at the retreat said Girl Scouts. And then Maggie's a Girl Scout troop leader. My throat is rough. I'm sorry, guys. And she's like, yeah, let me send you the stuff. So we're going to work with our local Girl Scout troop. I'm limiting right now tickets to the first 20 people. So if you're hearing this podcast and you're like, oh my gosh, my kid is, able to get to that area, yeah, I'll drive them, right? We're going to advertise in Milwaukee and Chicago both. But if you're within an hour and a half, it's like, drop your kid off for nature school, go get yourself a cup of coffee somewhere, go watch a movie, read a book, go for your own walk in the forest preserve. There's so many local ones. And then come pick your kid up. But so that's going to be up. You'll be able to see that link on Instagram. We'll probably put that link as well for people to register in the show notes here. So what I came home with was the Little Witches Moon Gardening Club. And the club is just got this life of its own, from, what does it want to teach, to what are the crafts. We're going to be doing like herbal remedies and oil infusions and body oil infusions and compost teas so that they can make tea for trees and take it home and give gratitude to a tree in their own yard every time they come to class. And we're making journals that have monographs in them. Monographs are where you have an image of a plant and then it tells you like the Latin name of the plant, the properties of the plant, herbal properties, medicinal properties, and any like contradictions or like dangers, right? In the kids' terms, what's dangerous about the plant? Maybe it's the seed, or maybe it's the little stems inside the flower. Maybe it's the leaves. But what are the dangers? And every time they come to a nature class, so like 2 more pages in their journal, monograph pages. We're doing herb identification in October. I'm going to buy all the kids a witch hat because it's the Little Witches Moon Gardening Club. I'm also, besides the idea of a reference book, I want to get them like a canvas bag or a backpack to put their journal in, to put their reference book in, to store their hat in when they're at home. So all of their stuff for their club is contained in one place. It's easy to get to. There is just so much energy around this, so much enthusiasm, so much excitement. And I'm excited to see where it's going to go. What I will tell you is intuitively listen to your intuition. Listen to your intuition, because although your brain, your ego, your mind might say, do this, do this, do this, like intuitive eating, you know how to do it. You already have 40 weeks of recipes, da, 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 and it drones on and on and on. The heart and the soul and the spirit say, throw it away. And so you're going to see some other changes happening as well, not just the Instagram handle. New email address is coming. Website updates are coming. And we are cultivating guts. Me and Cultivating Guts are partnering together, pairing together, and we're changing this world one plant at a time, one root at a time. We're going to regenerate soil. We're going to show people how to live off the land. And we're going to show them it's fun to tune in and to listen to nature. And I'm so excited for you guys to be with me on this journey and to see how it continues to change and evolve. But if something is nagging at you, you feel it in your heart, you feel it in your gut, that is your intuition talking to you. Go do what it's telling you and stop making excuses. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Share with me what your favorite part was, and share with me if you had anything in your intuition that was sitting there waiting for you to listen and act on it. Ask me any questions. I'm here for you, and I'm excited to see your benefits. Satnam, I love you guys. So if you love this episode, remember to share it with your friends. Send it to anyone who may love this inspiration or information that we shared. And to get started with gardening, guys, to get started learning and creating, I want you to visit www.cultivatingguts.com. You're going to find everything you need to get started with our gardening masterclass, to get our Greenwich gardening planner, and even to sign up for the Little Witches Moon Gardening Club for your own children and your neighborhood children, and get the stuff you need to get growing and going with helping your own gut through food and growing your own intuition.